Hello and welcome to this lecture where we are continuing with mapping network drives using group policy, but in this case we are going to apply a group policy that would map a network drive to a specific targeted user within an OU. Normally it's best use case wherever you are in a department and the managers need their own special shared drives that whoever is in the same department wouldn't have access to. So we're going to explore how to item target a specific user so that they can have a map drive. And we'll apply this to the same sales and marketing department. So hopefully in the end, whoever is the manager, for instance, in our case, we'll be using the user called John Fergal. We would map it to that user using a specific process. So it will be the case that whenever John logs in, they can have access to the overall map drive to that OU, as well as their own targeted drive that's mapped to them. And we'll test and see how does it impact the other users as well. Do they actually have access to that admin drive or not? So to start off, we need to create that new shared folder. So we will I'll go back to my drive C and I will create a new folder. So we have this staff shared, sales staff shared, and we would create a new folder, and this time around we'll call it sales manager drive. And then I had that spelling wrong, just going to rename it manager drive. Just need to make sure that it's shared, so go to sharing. I found sharing. Believe it does permissions as everyone, read, yeah, okay, and then we'll click apply, click OK, click close. I'll copy this path first and then we'll close. You'd realize at this point we are not going to create a batch script. We're going to get group policy to automatically map the drive for us when the user logs on without using a logon script. We're going to use preferences to do that. So now that we have the sales manager drive set up, we need to also just have a look at what the OU structure is like, because this is only going to be applicable to a security group. So we need to check and see, have we set up the right security group that will target this specific user. So I'm just going to open my Active Directory here, and I'll go back to my sales and marketing department. So in my sales and marketing department, I have John Fergal, if you see the descriptions, marketing manager. So John Fergal is a marketing manager. They both have access to that drive that I mapped using a logon script in the previous video. But now we want to create another kind of mapping that only John Fergal would have access to using item level targeting. So what I'm going to do is we need to create a new security group. Go to group, and it is security group. I will call it sales manager security group, right? We'll leave everything as it is. We'll click OK. And then within this group, we'll make sure that John is a member of this group. John Fergal. Names. Okay. So we would apply. Click OK. So in this security group, we have John in it. Now, since group policies can only be applied to specific OUs, that's why we have the OU. And then when it comes to targeting specific users, you can fine-grain a policy to apply to specific groups within an OU, and those groups need to be security groups. That's the point I had to make at some point when I was explaining the difference between security groups and distribution groups. Distribution groups, you can only use them as a distribution list, so you can send an email to that group and whoever is a member within that group will receive that email. But with security group, it goes beyond that. You can apply policies to them. So now we have our group, and that's in our OU, and John is in that. So we have that set up. I'm just going to refresh this. So that's okay. And we'll close Active Directory now. We'll close this now, and then we'll go back to our group policy. So this is our group policy. What we want to do is we want to create a new policy, just like the best practices. So right click this, click new, and we'll call it shared sales manager drive map policy, right? Click OK. So now we have this sales manager drive policy set up. We need to edit it. So in the edit window, this kind of policy we are creating, it's not really a policy. It's going to be something that's optional. So it happens whenever the user logs on, and it would disappear in the machine if the user logs off. So hence we're using the preference approach. So go to preferences, and we would go to under user configuration, window settings, and then we would go to drive maps, and that opens this little nice information with drive maps. So I'll right click on drive map, and then I'll go to new, go to map drive. Now we have the option now to map the drive. What we want to do is we want group policy to create that drive, and when you want to create that drive, we need to give it a path, and we will paste that path that we copied. And then you can have some other cosmetic effects if you want to. So for instance, you can label the drive. So maybe you want to call this drive, say, sales manager drive, or sales admin. And we want to use a specific letter. I think the other one we use Z, I don't know. And so maybe this time around we'll use K. And then what we want to do now, we have all these cosmetic setups. We want to go to the common tab, and we have the option to choose item level targeting. And we want to specify who we are targeting. And we want to add a new item. And when you go to new item, these are some of the features that you can use to target a specific property or object or entity within the organization or within the users properties that can allow that policy to be applied. So if it doesn't match that requirement, the policy wouldn't kick in. So what I want to use at this point is we want to use a security group. And when it comes to what security group, we want to talk about a specific user in the group. It could be a specific computer in the group, depending on whatever you're configuring. So I'll click these three dots, and it will give me the option to find the security group. I think we call the security group sales manager. I'll just check names. Yeah, so that's the security group, sales manager SC. So we'll click OK. And then we would click OK. So now that item level targeting is ticked and it has been configured, we'll click apply, and then we'll click OK. So that's created, and we'll just make sure that we map this to the specific OU. So I'll go to this sales and marketing department, and I'll link. We need to link it to the sales and marketing OU, and we would select the sales manager drive policy. Click OK. I just realized actually there's something else we need to make sure that is set up when it comes to the policy. Not just the item level targeting. It needs to run at a specific time. We need to specify that the action needs to run on that item level targeting. So I will just go back to edit the drive map and go to preferences, go to Windows settings, and go to this, and then we would edit this. We'll go to properties, and I think we're going to common. Yeah, we need to make sure that run in logged on user security context. So this is when you're using a user policy, right? So I'll apply this, we'll click OK, and then we'll come up this, and that's mapped already. So now we need to test this. We need to log in as, so we'll log in as Tracy first to see if does she have the drive mapped, because she's not the one that's been targeted. So I'll just log in as Crazy, and we will just open this first, and we'll refresh this, and then we would, it's not there, so do a GP update, CMD GP update force. It's taking this sweet little time. Yeah, computer policy updated, and then user policy update. Okay, so we're going to log off from Tracy. I will sign back in as Tracy because now the policy hasn't been applied, and see if does she have the mapping or not. So go back to folder, and we'll go to this PC, and she still has just what was originally assigned to her because she's in the OE, which is the default logon script, which is the sales staff shared, right? So that validates that because she's not targeted, she's not getting the mapping of the K drive. So what I'll do is we're going to log off from this account, and then we'll log in as John Farrell. And hopefully John Farrell should have both drives showing up. So now we're going to log in as John.Farrell. Go to other user. John.Farrell. And here's the password. Just give it a few seconds to open. Yep. So he has the same policies still being applied, the company logo, desktop background, the Zoom that was installed, and now we need to check what drives have been mapped to his profile. So go to this PC, and we have only the sales staff. So what I'll do is we're just going to do another GP update. Group policy updated successfully, and then we just log off and we'll log back in again. And hopefully this time around it should create the drive. Right, so now he has two drives. He has the sales admin drive, and he has the sales staff share drive. So that's because he is in the sales and marketing department, which by default would have the general drive for all sales staff. Additionally, he has a specific drive that's targeted to him specifically, so that he can have access to a drive that ordinary staff members within the sales department wouldn't have access to. So that's how you map a network drive to a manager and to a whole department using the logon script and using the group policy preferences to do item level targeting to a specific user within a security group. So these are some of the things that you can use group policy to do. You can use it to configure any specific use case to do with a user level configuration to a computer level configuration. You just need to know how to create the policy, where to go to make the to do the settings, and apply it to the relevant OU or security group, and then test it within an environment and then deploy to production. The next video, we are going to explore what are some of the troubleshooting steps that you can include, well, you can adopt whenever you're facing challenges. Someone is supposed to have some policies apply to account, but for some reason it's not. But before that, we would also maybe explore when it comes to setting up password policies. So what level of password can accounts use as their current passwords, and what are some of how can we set up anything to do with password policies. We'll explore that in the next video, and we'll conclude the chapter to see how to troubleshoot group policy issues. Thanks. I'll see you in the next video.